Subcommittee on Personnel and Readiness meet jointly today. This is kind of an unusual thing. This doesn't happen very often, but there's a very good reason that should be evident to everyone right now that that's the right way to handle this. Today we're going to have three panels of witnesses. We'll hear from the families, those are the ones seated at the table right now, of active duty service members, representatives of privatized housing, and the military leaders responsible for overseeing military housing. I welcome all of our witnesses and thank them for being here today. In the future, this will be conducted at the full committee level, but due to the scheduling conflicts that we had, we were unable to do that today, so I believe that we needed to have this hearing as soon as possible. It's important for everyone to understand why on-base housing is privatized. In the late 1990s, on-base housing, which was managed by the department, was in disrepair. We privatized the system, putting our faith and trust in the private sector to give our families a better quality of life, while the contractors received fair compensation. That was the goal. Here is the fact. Our service members and their families deserve high-quality, affordable housing, period. One mistake is too many. We hear the argument that this is a rare thing, but even if it were, one is too many. After hearing from the service members and their families in Oklahoma and across the country, it's clear that isn't happening everywhere. The Military Family Advisory Network received nearly 17,000 responses in just 7 days to a survey about privatized housing experiences. Of the close to 15,000 families who currently or recently lived in privatized family housing, almost 45% responded that they have a neutral or favorable privatized housing experience. That leaves 55, however, or at least 8,000 residences who are currently dissatisfied with where they are living. There are some out there, however, who try to minimize this problem by saying this only happens in 1% of privatized housing. Well, even if that's true, that would still be 2,000 families, military families, having problems. And this survey shows otherwise. Now, we're not going to be able to resolve this issue in one sitting. Today's hearing is just the beginning. We need necessary reforms to ensure accountability and excellence in privatized on-base housing so that we can going to keep on this issue. This is not going to be over with today. We need to look at three things: care for the service members and their families, accountability in the contracting process, and examine what, if anything, the chain of command is doing to address the family's concerns. You know, we were talking this morning, and several of us who had been in the United States Army in this case, that the chain of command was the final decision, and things actually were working pretty well at that time. Ranking Member Reed and I will work with our Government Accounting Office as well as the DOD Inspector General to thoroughly investigate and report back to the Committee on steps, whether administrative or legislative, that can be taken to use to ensure our families, military families, have housing they deserve. I remind both the industry and the department to fully cooperate in these investigations. I would also like to put on record today that our witness testimonies and other conversations that they have had with members of this committee are protected communications. That's very important. As such, any form of reprisal or threat thereof should be immediately reported to this committee and will be immediately referred to the DOD Inspector General for swift action. Make no mistake about it. I will take any report of reprisals on our military families directly to the Secretary-in-Chief of that specific service. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and today's hearing is the right first step to take. Before I turn to Senator Reed, I'd like to remind our members that we have three panels today. So we will have 3-minute rounds for the first panel and 4-minute rounds for the others to ensure that we try to get everyone satisfied who wants to participate. Senator Reid.